So we all know that for Rust development, the most popular editor is probably Visual Studio Code from Microsoft. I assume that you guys already know it and you've been using it. We're looking at it here now. But as an alternative, I've recently started using CLion from JetBrains, and I think it is far superior to Visual Studio Code. I'm going to show you how to use that today, just very quickly, and also how to get it for free if you're working on an open source project. Okay, so like I say, this is Visual Studio Code, but we can go to the JetBrains website, jetbrains.com, and it'll take us to the homepage here, and we can go to developer tools here and choose your tool, and you can come and choose one of these products here. They've got a little filter on the side here, and you can select, if you come down a little bit here, you can select Rust, and it'll show you all the IDEs that they've got available in which you can do Rust development. But they also, I can't remember where I found the link, I just remember it. So if you say jetbrains.com and Rust, they've actually got an IDE that's already pre-configured to do your Rust development for you. And you can come here and do your installation. So this should work on Windows as well, but I run on Linux. And so yeah, it says here, Rust becomes native to IntelliJ IDEA, CLion, and other IntelliJ-based IDEs. Now, the main reason for why you'd want to use CLion is due to debugging. Now, in Visual Studio Code, you can do debugging, but the free products from IntelliJ or from JetBrains cannot do Rust debugging. CLion can though, and IntelliJ Ultimate can. So we're going to be looking at just quickly how to set up the IntelliJ IDE, and then I'm going to jump over to CLion on my, this is in a virtual machine, but I'll jump over to my actual machine and I'll show you how to just quickly get started with a Rust project in CLion. So this is Linux Mint. You should be able to get IntelliJ IDEs in your repository. If you don't, you could just, like I said, download from their website. So I'll just quickly show you here on Mint. If we just come over here to the software manager and we type in IntelliJ and select the one that you want. Now, I've already installed the community one. Now, like I said, you can do your Rust development in there, but you cannot do debugging. But other than that, it's fine. But you know, we do want to use our debuggers. So all right, you do that installation, and I'll just open it up here. And by default, when it starts here, the Rust plugin has not been installed, and that we're going to have to do ourselves. So we come over here to plugins and type in Rust, and there's our Rust plugin, and install that, and it should tell us about cargo as well. Yes, so it says here, sorry, it requires TOML. All right, we install that, and of course you've already installed Rust itself from the Rust website, the normal way. Okay, and we click on restart the IDE to enable the plugin. All right, the plug is enabled, and now we can create a new project or open a project. I've already got the same project that I've got open here in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open it up in IntelliJ IDEA here. So we go to open, and we select the directory in which it is lying, and OK on that, and it'll load it up for us. So it starts off by showing us some tips, and something you'll notice, if we're looking at our markdown file here, it's actually a preview that it's showing us here, which is quite nice. In Visual Studio Code you can obviously do that as well. If you just come over to your markdown file and say Control-Shift-V, and it'll do a preview for you. And here we can come in and obviously, you know, look at our code and start working in it. Now, these are the default colors, the color schemes, and I don't particularly like it. I think I do actually prefer the Visual Studio color scheme. So I've gone and customized mine to that, and you can do it as well. So if we just say Control Alt and S to get to the settings, and then editor, color scheme, and you should have a Rust entry here. There's Rust. If you click on Rust, okay, and then these are the colors that they've set up for us. So you can see it's the same. Here's the example, and there's the actual code. But you can come and change it to whatever you want it to be. You can just click on the individual items and just select the color you want. Well, let's just say, let's go to a field, for instance, change those fields there. We want a different color. Oh, sorry, you just got to take off here inherit values from, just switch that off. And then you can click on the color and select the color that you want, whatever you want it to be. What you can also do, which is quite nifty, is when you select your color, you can click over here to the color sampler, click on that, and then move it over to wherever the color is that you actually want. And you click on that, and it'll change the color to that. And you can obviously, you can look at the TOML files as well and so forth. Like I said, what you can do is you can import a file that I've already created for you. The one that I use myself. If we get onto the web again, we go over to my GitLab site, and it is here. Let me just zoom in for you. That's the link there. Rust color scheme for CLion and IntelliJ_IDEA. And it'll take you to this place, and you can then, well, there's two files here. So we've got the rustcolors.icls and the JetBrains background.png. The background PNG file is required to change the actual, this light gray color that you see here. I prefer mine to be darker, more black. And so I use that PNG file, and then the actual color scheme itself you can then import as well. So if we come up here and to the scheme, well, let's first download that file. So you can do it using normal git clone, and just clone with HTTPS. Select where you want to do it. I'm just going to extract it into my projects folder here. So if I open a new terminal here and do a git clone and paste in that URL. Alright, so it's got those files for us, and you'll see that it's inside here now. The background, it's just a black background, and then the actual color scheme file itself. If we come over here to scheme Darkular, we can click on the import scheme here, and we choose the IntelliJ IDEA color scheme, the first option there. We click on projects, and we go to that Rust colors that we just downloaded. Say okay on that. Okay, apply it, and it's gone and done it. Alright, so there it's a slightly more Visual Studio like color if you may be used to Visual Studio. I don't like all the orange colors in the defaults. I prefer these colors. And now to change the background color, like I said, it's a bit light. I like mine darker, so we go back to the settings again, Control-Alt-S. Appearance and behavior, appearance, and over here you'll see this background image, and here we can import our image, JetBrains background.png, and then you can set the opacity. That's a little bit darker. I actually prefer it even darker than that. Let's make it 96 here, and oh, I think that's a little bit too dark. Let's just go back to the settings again, appearance, background image here, and let's drop that down to 84, and okay on that. Well, I don't think it'll make a difference. If I remember, it was the image itself was completely black. So, but all right, but you can play around with that. You can even replace it. You can put any image in there. If you want a nice, pretty background, you know, you can stick it in there. But there's our IntelliJ, the community edition running here with the Rust colors that I've created, based very much on the Visual Studio color scheme. And that's basically it, just for a quick demonstration purpose. Oh, well, what I can show you quickly, obviously, is to create a new project. If we come over to File, create a new project, select Rust, and select the type. We're going to just create a normal binary application and say next on that, and asks you where should it put it and the name and so forth. So let's just call it hello. And then it'll ask you where should it open the project, in this window or in a new window. A new window, it'll open a complete new IDE for you, so you'll have 2 IDE instances running, or you can just open it in the current window and it'll replace the current project that's already open for you. And there's our basic Hello World, normal Rust Hello World program. You can then, you'll notice over here, there's this little green hammer, build project, Control F9. Click over here on build so we can actually see what's happening. Actually, I don't like the colors, this dark here is not very good, but you'll see on my actual IDE that I normally use, it'll look a little bit better. And all right, but there you have it. And you can go to the terminal here if you want to. You can click here on run, Shift F10, but right next to run, you'll notice there's a little debug icon there, and that is grayed out. And that's what we're trying to sort out with CLion. So you can't do debugging here. But you can run it, and there we go, there's your Hello World. So we did it by clicking on the run there. Alternatively, you can say Shift F10, or you can do it the way you do it in Visual Studio Code, and you can go to terminal and then you can type in the command yourself. So you can say cargo R for run. Okay, sorry about this, not very professional in the video, sorry guys. Okay, I didn't want to do the cargo run, but again, like I said, I don't really use this particular IDE. I'm not so fay with how it works, but CLion basically works the exact same, but there you have the basic idea. All right, and so if I get rid of this virtual machine and I come over to my actual IDE that I use, this is my actual IDE, and it's my current project that I'm working on. Yeah, you can now actually do debugging. So if you come up here, you'll notice a little debug icon there is now activated. So here's already a breakpoint that I've added here. You just click here, it's called the gutter. You can just click, so let's say for instance if I want to go to my main and where the actual project starts. And let's say the very first line here, I want to put a breakpoint there. So I just, and puts a breakpoint. Let's say we'll put another breakpoint a few lines further down. Now we come and we say debug. All right. Again, you can do your normal build. Okay. And this is based on the configuration. Let me show you that as well, just how to create a configuration. So you'll see this run here. Sometimes when you're creating a new project, it might not have that there for you, and that is what you need to change. So we come here to edit configurations, and it'll show you basically all these options as well, but nothing will be filled in. And this is what you used to do in Visual Studio as well, Visual Studio Code, basically by hand. But yeah, your working directory, you can click on the directory here and you can go select your working directory and all the other options that you do want to set here. And once you've done that, you say okay, and you can click on the little debug icon, and it'll start doing a debug build for you and start executing it. All right, so there it's hit our first breakpoint. And if you come up to the top here and we go to run, the run menu item, and if we look at debugging actions, here are the actual key bindings that you can use to step over and to continue through and run to the next breakpoint and so forth. You'll see here F9 to resume program. So if we want to run through the following lines of codes and get to the next breakpoint, you just press F9 and it's to the next breakpoint. And very much the same as in Visual Studio Code, you can hover over an item, a field and a variable, and you can see its values down here. It also shows you the values, and you can expand it, and very much the same as what you'd expect in Visual Studio Code. Just this is sort of that, but far easier to use in my opinion. And that really is it. And so if you want to do your final release build, for instance, by hand, you can come here, click on terminal at the bottom, say cargo build and release, and it'll do a release build for you. Now, one thing that's very nice as well, maybe I should just stop the running. Okay, stop it from running, and the build is going. Okay, the release build is complete, but let's force a error. So let me take the CLI args variable here, and I'll just get rid of the C. So in other words, any references to that is going to fall over. And if I now again do a build, and this is our error list that it's showing us here, and it says, well, on line 23 here, there's an error. This is the normal Rust output here. Now, if I remember correctly, in Visual Studio Code, you had to press Control and then click on the actual line here. In CLion, you don't have to. You just click straight on it, just normal mouse click on it, and it'll take you to where the error is. And we put our C back again, save it, and Shift F9 to do a build again, which is the same as clicking on this little hammer here. And yeah, the build is complete and it's all good. It's now doing a debug. Let's stop that. So yes, oh sorry, the last thing that's obviously one of the most important things is, how can you get CLion for free? Because it's actually quite expensive. Now, what is really very nice of these guys, JetBrains, if we go back to the virtual machine here, come back to the browser, and like I said, if we go to their website, jetbrains.com, right to the very beginning here, we look at developer tools again, choose your tool, and then you can say you can do your filters again and so forth, choose a particular product. But if you want to get all of this stuff for free, okay, you can go to store. Then here you got for organizations, individual use, and special offers. You click on that. And yeah, there's a whole lot of special offers that they've got for people. And this is for, the one that you're interested in is for open source projects. And you click on learn more. And what's going to happen is you can read through here. You can click on this open source link over here. It tells you what do they define as being an open source project. And if you qualify, so if you come here, you say apply, they're going to ask you a couple of questions. And if you qualify, they will give you all their IDEs for free. Now, that is, if I remember correctly, that's $650 worth of software for the first year. And that's really quite impressive. Give it to you for free. So fill in all your details over here, and what they did in my case is they sent me an email saying they want some more information. They had some questions for me. I answered everything, and they approved it and gave me all their software, all their IDEs. So if I go back to my main Linux box here, this is Endeavour OS. It's an Arch system. There we go, I said it. So what you can do is you can download what they call the toolbox. And once that's downloaded, you extract it from the tarball, you execute it, and you will see a list of all these products here which you can select and install. So like in my case, for instance, I was basically mostly interested in CLion. The others I will be looking at some point as well, because I've got use for them as well. But so you come down here to where was CLion. There's CLion at the bottom here, and you'll click on install, like there, install. Yeah, there's Goland for the Go developers out there as well. And if you're doing, for instance, Angular, you will be using, where is there, Java, WebStorm. You'll be installing WebStorm. You can do Angular, for instance. Tested that, works very well as well. And but that's basically it. So yes, CLion definitely is, in my opinion, a far better fully fledged IDE. There are many options that you can use in it versus Visual Studio Code, which is basically just a text editor with plugins. Get yourself CLion, get it for free, have fun. See you guys. Bye.